All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Katie Monahan, and I'm a communications strategist here at the Ohio Arts Council, and I coordinate the OAC's monthly webinar series. And so I am pleased to welcome you to today's webinar, Statewide Call, Show Your Art at the Ohio State Fair. So we are really excited to partner with our friends on the Ohio State Fair special events team for today's presentation. And I will introduce those presenters here in just a minute. But before we dive in, there are, of course, just a few housekeeping items that I need to go over. So there we go. First, everyone tuning in today is in listen only mode, but that doesn't mean you have to stay silent. If you have a question at any point, go ahead and type it into the Q&A box there in your control panel. My colleague, Kathy Signorino of our Artist Programs Office is here behind the scenes with me, helping to monitor those questions. And we'll be sure to leave plenty of time to answer those during the dedicated Q&A session at the end of the presentation. And again, please remember to use the Q&A if you have a question, not the chat. It's just easier to track the questions that way, and we want to make sure we don't miss anyone. Next, live captioning is available for today's webinar, and you can access those captions by clicking on the closed captioning icon in your control panel. And if you have audio issues or trouble connecting, we recommend refreshing your browser. And if that doesn't work, try logging off and logging back in. And please keep in mind that because we are presenting from different locations, there may be some variations in bandwidth or internet stability. So if the sound fluctuates or one of us freezes up for a minute, thank you in advance for bearing with us. I promise we will keep on going through any of those little small tech issues. And finally, we are recording today's webinar, and that recording will be available on our webinars page at oac.ohio.gov/webinars and on our YouTube channel by early next week. And everyone who is tuning in today or who registered for this webinar will also receive a follow-up email from me containing a link to the slide deck and also the link to that recording. All right, that is it for housekeeping. Now on to today's official business. So I'd like to welcome my colleague, Chaz O'Neill, who is the Artist Programs and Percent for Art Coordinator here at the OAC. Chaz is the perfect person to facilitate our conversation today because prior to his time here at the OAC, Chaz actually served as the Fine Arts Assistant Director at the Ohio State Fair, and he worked for the exhibition from 2005 to 2019. So this is super familiar territory for Chaz. He always speaks fondly of his time with the State Fair. So Chaz, thanks so much for being here. I'm going to hand things over to you to get us started.
Great. Thanks, Katie. Thank you, everybody, for being here today, listening from wherever you're coming from. Let's do a quick round of introductions to kind of get familiar with who's presenting today. Again, my name is Chaz O'Neill, and I am the Artist Programs and the Percent for Art Program Coordinator here at the Ohio Arts Council. We're joined by the special events team at the Ohio State Fair. Alyssa Belknap-Molenkamp, you want to start us off with introductions?
Sure. Thanks, Chaz. Hi, everyone. I am Alyssa Belknap-Molenkamp, and I am the Special Events Director here for the Ohio State Fair.
Great. Flint?
Yep, I'm Flint Gerbrandt. I'm the Fine Arts and Youth Arts Director at the Ohio State Fair.
All right. And Laura?
Hi, I'm Laura Allison, and I'm the Creative Arts Director for the Ohio State Fair.
Awesome. Okay, let's quickly go over today's agenda. For today's agenda, I'll start us off by informing the public on how the Ohio Arts Council supports the exhibitions we're going to talk about today. We will then hear from Alyssa in the Special Events Office to talk about her role in all this and kind of the overview of their department. Next, we'll pass it on to Flint, who will tell us about the Youth Arts exhibition. And then we'll hear from Laura to talk about the Creative Arts exhibition. And then we'll turn it back to Flint to fill us in on what's happening in the Fine Arts exhibition. Alyssa will return to talk about the important dates and how to enter. And then we should have a little time at the end, like Katie said, for some Q&A afterwards. So now that we have our plan, let's just jump right in. To start us off, actually, I would be remiss if I did not talk about my personal connection to the Ohio State Fair. Here's some personal images I took over the years. As Katie mentioned, I worked for the Fine Arts exhibition for nearly 15 years. I started as a lowly gallery assistant in 2005. And around 2009, I was promoted to assistant director. So I directed the exhibition for about 5 years. And I wouldn't have kept coming back summer after summer if I didn't fall in love with the exhibition back in 2005. I made so many connections through the jurors, the sponsors, the entertainment we had, the artists, and my gallery assistant staff. I also had the opportunity to mentor a lot of young people and offer jobs to older folks who just needed summer work and wanted, to work in an interesting and fun atmosphere. The Cox Fine Arts Center is a really fascinating place to display Ohio's best artists for the 12 days of the Ohio State Fair. Flint Garibrandt, who's here with us today, is one of those people I've mentored over the last few years, so I know you are in good hands. So if you're listening out there and you are looking for some summer work, get in touch with Flint or Laura for that matter. They're always looking for enthusiastic people to join their team. I know you'll learn a lot. During my time there, I've also witnessed how the creative arts and the youth arts exhibitions have evolved over the years and how the level of professionalism and the quality of the displays and the competition is now equaling that of the fine arts exhibition. So in 2001, I was hired to my current position at the Ohio Arts Council, where now I get to be involved again with the Ohio State Fair Fine Arts Exhibition as a partner agency for the Ohio Art Council supports this exhibition and has supported this exhibition for many decades. The Ohio Arts Council provides funding for the honorarium for the 2 professional jurors and the 1 amateur juror for the fine arts exhibition. We provide $4,200 in exhibition awards. $1,300 of those dollars are dedicated to the prospective discipline for the fine arts exhibition. Now, one of the questions that may come from the audience later is that, I'm hearing a lot about the fine arts exhibition and how OAC supports it monetarily, but do you also support the youth arts exhibition and the creative arts exhibition monetarily? As a state art agency, we cannot fund or give grants to artists under the age of 18. But as far as the creative arts exhibition, I'll return and talk about that after Laura's presentation. And many people, when they think about art, they don't think about the Ohio State Fair. Usually people are usually more interested in the rides, the deep fried buckeyes, and the animals. Believe me, I miss it too. I miss my Euros at the Ohio building, and I've seen some awesome concerts at the Celeste Center. But I do want to reiterate how incredibly prestigious these exhibitions are and how visible they are. I think I saw a figure somewhere around 40,000 people combined walk through the fine arts exhibition. And I know the youth arts and creative arts sees at minimum double that number. And the fair is also a great place to slow down and take in some culture while you're sipping on that fresh squeezed lemonade. As Flint will talk about, the youth arts and fine arts exhibitions are juried exhibitions, and they receive hundreds of submissions a year. Just to be included in the exhibitions is an accomplishment in itself. In my years at the fine arts exhibition, around 25% or less of the entries made it in. Within the creative arts exhibition, will be a little different. All the entries you submit and pay for will be displayed, but it's carefully judged by trained professionals in person. But we also have the special privilege to be patrons of the exhibition and purchase work for the OAC art collection, and we provide a special art purchase award. The Ohio Arts Council has nearly 60 pieces of art purchased from the Ohio State Fair. Here, just a small sample of some of the pieces we have purchased, we have in our collection. The earliest purchases on a record are from 1970. The best part is that we get to display this work from our collection in our office in the Rhodes State Office Tower. And then one last thing before I pass on the presentation is to remind the audience that the Ohio State Fair, the Ohio Arts Council is a partner agency with the Ohio State Fair. The Ohio Arts Council does not facilitate in any way the entry process for these exhibitions. We'll be glad to forward on any calls and emails we do get to Alyssa, Flint, and Laura, but we do ask that you contact them directly with your questions. And their emails and phone numbers will be listed at the end of the presentation. So with that, I'm going to pass our presentation to our first presenter, Special Events Director at the Ohio State Fair and Expo Center, Alyssa Melnicamp, to tell us about the Special Events Office.
Thanks, Chaz.
Mhm.
So the special events department here at the Ohio State Fair encompasses quite a few things. We have everywhere from the fine, creative, and youth arts. We also oversee the Junior Fair Board, the All Ohio State Fair Band, the All Ohio State Fair Youth Choir, the sporting events, all of customer service, youth organizations, and our first aid and emergency medical services personnel. So we have a lot of things happening under the special events umbrella, and the arts department is one of the biggest pieces of it. So a little bit about piggybacking on what Chaz said before, the arts is very special at the Ohio State Fair for many reasons. And there's a lot of great things that Flint and Laura are going to share with you today about fine, youth, and creative arts that are happening and some fun changes we're hoping to implement this year. But there's so many things that you can do at the fair. Everything from getting your lemon shake up to your corn dog, to your cheese on a stick, your gyros, your ice cream, all of those things. We have plenty of different livestock species and shows that you can visit, a lot of youth educational exhibits in our youth exploration space and our little farmers exhibit. Of course, we have our Midway and Kittyland. We have our Land and Living exhibit, just a lot of wonderful things that the fair encompasses. So come plan to spend a day, or I know Chaz has mentioned before, a couple of days, just so you can see everything. And we hope to see many of you at the fair July 26th through August 6th.
All right. Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you for being here and for all the work you do behind the scenes to execute these 3 exhibitions we're here to talk about today. The first exhibition we are here to talk about today is the Youth Arts Exhibition. The director of the Youth Arts Exhibition is Flint Garibrandt. He's going to tell us about this opportunity for our elementary, middle school, and high school students. Flint?
Thank you very much, Chaz. Yeah, so the first thing we're going to discuss is the Youth Arts Exhibition. And that slide's come on over. There we go. All right, so while that's loading, there we go. We'll just talk a little bit about the size of the exhibition in general. First, since 2016, it's had an average of about 200 participants in the exhibition. It's give or take depending on year. And since 2016, it's had between 200 and 700 entries. So it can fluctuate a bit, but we get quite a bit of entries from the young artists in Ohio, which are, as a high school teacher, I can safely say that they're very talented youth artists out here. It's a great place for them to have so many people come see their work on the fairgrounds that might not necessarily normally interact with a youth arts exhibition. So it's a great opportunity for the public to see some of the work that's up and coming. I'll cover a couple of few things. Divisions, we have 3. We have a variety of awards that are offered, a little bit about how to enter, and at the very end, we'll talk about some of the important dates. We'll kind of put all those together with our 3 divisions. So our divisions, as I said, we had 3 of them. They are kind of age banded or age grouped with elementary school, which would be 1st through 4th grade. We have middle school, which is 5th through 8th grade, and high school, which is the 9 through 12. And in each one of our different divisions, we have some awards for a 1st, a 2nd, and a 3rd place all media award. There is no one specific media that we'd be looking for in that respect. It's just all work can be kind of juried and selected together. There will also be several Jurors' Choice Awards selected by the jurors. We have 3 jurors for this exhibition every year, and they'll be kind of selecting in a variety of different artworks to choose the All Media Awards of Excellence. We also offer some special awards that are supported by generous donors, either community members, different organizations, or other arts organizations. That might include Nationwide Children's Hospital. We have a Phoenix Rising Printmaking Cooperative that has supported an award for specifically printmaking artwork from the youth this year. We've had a partnership with the Clintonville Arts Guild for a while now. They've been supporting for several years. And another one that has just signed on with us is the Columbus Museum of Art. They will be offering a family membership to one of our lucky artists in the youth arts this year. And of course, we're also looking for any opportunities for future support. You've probably heard the phrase that it takes a village to raise a child. It's kind of the same sort of thing here in the arts. It's a wonderful opportunity for the public and people all over Ohio to help kind of raise up the next generation of artists. So a little bit about how to enter. First off, we get questions about eligibility. There are no prior entries that are required for entry into this. You wouldn't have to win anything at a local fair before you can come to the Ohio State Fair. You can just enter. It is for any students that are age 6 to 8, 17, 18 range. If you're in grades 1 through 12 in an Ohio school, you are good to go to enter this exhibition. Since it is during the summer, oftentimes we get people asking, what should I enter into? Maybe I'm in 8th grade, but I was in 7th grade. It's always the year that you had just finished as a student would be what you are entering in. So seniors in high school, you can enter as a high school student. You would not have to move on to the the amateur division of the fine arts, but that is also an opportunity I'll talk about here in a moment. For the artwork display and requirements, we ask that there be like high quality images of the work. A couple of pointers in regards to that would be make sure that there's kind of clear backgrounds, things are zoomed in on your artwork. The initial jury is an online process, so they would be judging your work based on the quality of the image and what we can see. So zoom in as close as you can to it, make sure that there's decent quality, no blurriness to it. It should be new original work within about the last 4 years. Presentation does count, so think through how your work could be kind of viewed and displayed in that image. And it would need to be framed or at least hangable when it comes in if it is selected for the exhibition. We do have a lot more details on that I won't go into here in the program book. Just make sure you read through all of it before you decide to enter the exhibition. We have just about every question that you could possibly ask is going to be included in that book. And I said a couple things about some other opportunities. The 17 plus students can also choose whether they would be interested in joining in with the youth arts exhibition or joining in with the amateur division of the fine arts, since our age range in that division is 17 and up. 17 and up can also enter the chalk art or the plein air competitions as well. We actually had the person probably about 2018, I think it was, we had a youth art person, 17 years old, win our People's Choice. So that was kind of a nice opportunity, nice thing for her to get involved with while still in high school. And there's also a variety of youth categories in the creative arts as well. Laura will be talking about those a little bit later on. And I guess we'll pass on over.
Let's just stop right
Oh,
here.
yeah.
All right,
Okay.
I got
Yeah.
it. Thank you, Flint. That's a lot of great information for us. So can you tell us a little bit about how does this exhibition prepare our young artists for future opportunities?
Well, it does a couple things. First off, I do want to let parents and guardians in the audience and our art teachers present as well to know that we often do see our young artists move from the youth arts into the fine arts exhibition, either as an amateur or perhaps later as a professional division once they turn 18 and graduate from high school. We've also had students in high school kind of get that familiarity with kind of preparing your work for an exhibition. It's a wonderful opportunity to kind of maybe engage with your art teacher to kind of figure out how you want to present works and think through how you could do this in future exhibitions. It's a wonderful opportunity in that respect as well.
Right. Yeah, right. It's early to get those good habits of professional display early on, and get those going so you can be successful in the future. So, thank you, Flint, for sharing the youth arts exhibition with us. Next, we're going to pass the presentation over to our creative arts director, Laura Allison, who will tell our audience about the creative arts exhibition.
Thanks, Tess.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Laura Allison. And with the Creative Arts program for the Ohio State Fair, it consists of over 40 divisions and more than 200 classes. And actually, the Ohio State Fair is one of the top fairs in the US. So I feel like that is probably an incentive for more people to enter some of the classes that we offer for the divisions, as that kind of gives them a step into possibly entering later on in another fair, as well as possibly into the fine arts side of the Ohio State Fair. Some of the new classes for the 2023 fair include Christmas tree decorating, brick art, and cricket. The program really encompasses arts, crafts, fashion, cooking, and baking. And we also have live competitions, which include the chili cook-off, as well as the deviled egg competitions and the charcuterie board competitions. Some of the other options in regards to youth, in regards to youth entries are included with leather arts and miniatures, as well as a few others in the categories. Some of the awards that you will find that are offered in the classes for the creative arts are first, second, and third places, as well as best of show. There is as well a Commissioner's Choice Award, which is offered in the miniatures and the themed entry category. This year's theme is Space Galaxy Adventure. The People's Choice Awards are offered in about 5 categories. Those are miniatures, themed entry, quilting, Christmas tree decorating, and cake decorating.
All right, before we get to that, the fine arts, yeah, let's just go back there. So it sounds like a lot happening in the creative arts division. And I know how much of an undertaking it is to put on that exhibition. And I know it's your first year on the job, but I know you'll create a fabulous display, Laura. It's hosted in such a wonderful venue as well. The air-conditioned Kasich Hall, one of my favorite displays to see every year is the tablescaping competition. And it's always a bonus to be in the exhibit hall during the chili cook-off or like during the cooking demonstrations, because you got to get a free bite every now and then. From that extensive list that you showed us of the divisions and some I saw on the website, I noticed there's a photography exhibition too in the creative arts exhibition. Could you tell the audience a little more about that and how it differs from the one, like why would you enter the one in creative arts over the one in fine arts?
Yeah, so the creative arts photography category is actually consumed of 8 classes. So it's more focused, and what the judges look for are more intricate details and craftsmanship of the work that's provided and entered. The classes, some of those are included are animals, nature, pets as well. And just others. One of the other opportunities are the youth division that's from ages 11 to 17, as well as another class which is offered for 18 plus.
Okay, great. Excellent. You know, and as I mentioned before about monetary awards, the reason why the OAC doesn't offer cash awards in the creative arts exhibition is that we, as a staff, select the awards in the fine arts exhibition, and that exhibition really more aligns to our agency's programs. And with so many categories, we wouldn't able to properly judge the various art forms from one over another. And there are divisions in the creative arts exhibitions with art forms that the OAC just does not fund, such as culinary arts. So right now, it kind of wouldn't be equitable to award one division over another. But we are happy, the Ohio Arts Council is happy to help promote the call for all 3 of these exhibitions through our email and through our social media. So that's how we can assist. So with that, I'm going to pass the presentation back over to Flint to talk about the fine arts exhibition.
Thank you very much, Chaz. So the fine arts, as Chaz had said before, you know, he's been here, gosh, 15 years before moving on to the OAC, and I've joined on with him in this exhibition as a gallery assistant in 2015, and it's been a fantastic exhibition opportunity every single year. Every time I go to the reception, I always end up meeting a lot of different diverse artists and artworks that I wouldn't normally have experienced before. We've had, you know, quite a large amount of entries every year, between 1,800 and 2,100 in the last 8 years or so, since 2016. And we've had between 400 and 700 artists. It's a very large exhibition, and that kind of spans both our amateur and our professional division. It's very competitive. We always ask ours, put your best in, because everybody else is doing that as well. I'm going to talk a little bit about our divisions. We have two main divisions. We also have some special divisions as well that you could enter into. I'll talk a little bit about the awards and some sale opportunities and some sale records. We'll also discuss the artwork requirements. How would you enter it? What would you kind of look for in your image? How would you present things? We'll talk about the plein air as well. And we also offer a gift shop on site. And then we'll get into some of the frequently asked questions. And at the very end, we'll talk about some important dates. So our two main divisions of our exhibition are the professional division and the amateur. But the professional is going to have the same kind of setup of awards, a first, a second, a third, best of show. They will both have some jurors' choice. In professional division, they'll have two jurors' choice, since we have two jurors, and the amateur division will have one jurors' choice. Ohio Arts Council does sponsor some awards in each of those categories, and some of those are specific to a particular media or a subject or something we kind of focus in on with each perspective we do, which I will talk about here in a little bit. And we also have for all divisions in terms of our awards, some specific ones related to that perspective. The perspective this year is a focus on printmaking. In past years, we focused in on work with photography or steel or glass or other sort of medias like that. And that's something we definitely want to continue doing to rotate through the diverse amount of artworks and artists that we have in Ohio. We also offer a People's Choice Award, which kind of spans all categories. It's whatever the people decide is their favorite artwork that year. So we encourage everybody to participate with that. And we also have, just like with the youth arts, some awards supported by some diverse Ohio individuals and a variety of organizations. Again, Phoenix Rising, they're supporting us here as well. We have other diverse organizations, including galleries. We have some individual artists. Those are our main awards. Excuse me. And make sure I didn't miss that part. Okay. So in there it is. In terms of our sales, annually, we've had between $10,000 and $24,000 in artwork that's been sold. In 2022, we had sold about $22,500 worth of artwork at this exhibition, and that is an astronomical number for 12 days of fair. Most of the time, a gallery is open for an entire month with that specific set of artwork. We got 12 days, and we're doing an awesome job here. The Ohio State Fair takes that 30% commission of the artworks on site. The $16,000 that was listed on the screen right there in front of you, that is what was paid out to those 51 artists who sold their work on site. So that's still a very large number. We have a variety of sales opportunities, one of which is something called the Past Patron Preview event. This event is an opportunity for people who have purchased at the Ohio State Fair in the past. That's any number of years past. If you have purchased with us and we have your contact information, we will invite you to an opportunity 1 week prior to the fair where you'll be able to kind of get a sneak peek preview of some of the works and kind of select pieces that you would like to take home with you. This past year, on that day, we had $4,555 sold. People were definitely looking for some very interesting Ohio State Fair artwork when we took our 2-year hiatus. And we also had our opening reception. That's every year. The opening reception this past year, we sold $7,245 worth as well. So it's a wonderful opportunity, and that is one night. Then we got our 12 days of fair coming right after that. So the sales, they definitely come in those 12 days. The Ohio Arts Council, as Jazz had stated earlier, has some special purchase awards that they will select from everything in advance of the fair itself. And if someone has purchased with the OAC or they have done the Past Patron Preview event, we'd like to place a placard for those individuals that are a supporter of the arts next to the artwork. So you not only get to have the artwork, but you also let them tell everybody else you did that. Now, how on earth do we get our work into the fair? We have some requirements for some of the work. First off, we look for original works, nothing that would be either copywritten or through, like, say, a course or a tutorial of others. It should be your own original concept of work. We try to make sure that it is not anything older than 4 years. We like to keep it fresh. It's part of the reason we do our perspective on something each year. So we keep that kind of rotation of works changing. We would request that you check the size requirements and be specific with those when you type them into the entry form. A 6x6 could be 6x6 feet or 6x6 inches. Right, so let us know that in advance. And the size requirements, I have more details in our program books, which will be up on the website. The main thing is for two-dimensional work, just because of the size of our walls, we want to make sure it's below 8 foot by 8 foot. And that does include a frame. So if the piece is 8 foot by 8 foot and you got a 2 foot frame, it's going to exceed the borders of our wall. So stay within those bounds. And the three-dimensional works, if you're installing something, an installation, 10 foot by 10 foot by 17 is kind of the size we are restricting for that. And again, make sure that you read the full program book before entering. It's fairly well organized to make sure you can find everything you need. Again, much like youth arts, take high quality photos of your artworks. The initial jury is going to be something done online. So the image is what we are working from. There's opportunity to have multiple images for three-dimensional work, so it can be seen from different angles. For two-dimensional work, just get the best quality photo you can. And the artwork presentation, again, it does make a difference. If it's initially juried into the show, you'll have about a week to get things prepared and show ready, and then bring them into us. Ideally, things would be kind of framed and ready prior to entry. However, if you need to get something printed, you got that week of time to do it. So check your email, make sure that you are getting those notifications early. That it should be framed, it should be hangable. Paintings and things like that, they can have the wire hook along the back. Some things that we try not to accept would be like push pins into the wall. I know some printmakers will do that kind of exhibition, just because our space does have breeze that happens through there. Here at the Ohio State Fair, it is a lovely location, but push pins, they can damage the work over time. So we ideally make sure that things are either behind glass or hangable with some kind of structure. And just make sure also that you provide any necessary hardware for unique display methods. Last year, our perspective was on technology and art, and we had quite a wide variety of interesting works. We just asked that people who submit digital works, if there's something more than an outlet that you would require, if you could provide it, that would be fantastic. We might not be able to ensure that you have those kind of things on site. But if you're creating the work that's going to have that kind of unique necessary method of hanging, provide, or at least provide us with some instructions on how to take care of putting your work together. Now, one of our other divisions you might see is an on-site competition. It is the plein air painting competition. This has historically happened for the first 3 days of fair. This does come with some tickets every day. You would not have to buy your own ticket every day you come. It is a $50 entry, which does take care of those tickets. And it also now includes 2 artworks for each submission. So you would not have to buy multiple entries. You would not need to do like $50 times 2 to get another set of works. Just that one entry, and you can have 2 works that are going to be displayed in the exhibition. There presently are no limits to the canvas quantities. They just need to be stamped in advance before you go out for the day to ensure that the correct numbers come back to us, to ensure that the jurying process is fair for all. And your choice of any of those 2. If you paint 30 in that 3 days time, great. Just give me 2 that are your best 2, right? And again, the artwork should be ready to hang when it shows up. As a plein air painting competition, you've just recently finished it, so come prepared with your frames on hand, something that you can install the frame to the artwork. We do provide space in our break room that you can take care of that. You wouldn't have to do it out and about in the fairgrounds. We make sure you have a space for that. And the work does need to be presented to us at the time that we are excuse me, at the time that we are asking it to be completed. If it is late, it would not be able to be juried for the exhibition. We do have professional jurors that come on site to select the works for the awards, and your artworks are also available for purchase during the fair. Our awards for this competition include a first place, a second place, and a third place award. And there's also special awards provided by either individuals or organizations, much like our youth arts, our fine arts, our creative arts. Then those kind of will alter and change depending on year and depending on supporters. We also are bringing back our chalk art competition. This competition is going to have the dates between July 30th and August 1st. We do have a rain date. Chalk art that's open to the elements, so there's a rain date available for that. Much like the plein air painting, it is $50 entry, but because of size constraints, we're giving everybody a 10 by 10 foot space, but it is open to the first 15 participants. At that point, space is all taken up. You would be able to do one entry per artist or team. We do have teams of artists to work together on this, but everybody in the team would not need to purchase their own entry. The artists can use chalk or pastels or tempera to prime the space, but anything else, try to avoid using any of that. Some things may disqualify. And the artwork should be completed by the end of August 1st, unless we're using that rain date. Professional artists, we have a professional artist that will be acting as juror to select some of our first, second, and third awards. And we also have a People's Choice, which is how that high school student back in a couple years ago, she managed to win an award, which is fantastic. So the people get to let everyone know about the work that you will clearly see, right outside our building or on grounds at the fairgrounds. We have also, in recent years, had a gift shop available. It is the All Ohio Arts Gift Shop. That's an opportunity for Ohio organizations to participate on the fair, in the fair, to sell the work of their members and their group. It's available for 3 groups. We have our groups picked well in advance each year, and each gets 4 days to participate. The vendors do keep all sales. There's only a booth fee that needs to be paid. Anything else that you can kind of sell at that time, that is completely yours. We do also have our gift shop open during the opening reception. Some past information about our gift shop. There it is. We've had past gift shop sales, depending on which group or which year it was, a couple $1,000s. The average is usually around like $1,200 or so is sold. Some of our past vendors include Clintonville Arts Guild, Dublin Area Art League. We've had Sun Apple Studios in the past, Rivet Gallery, and this year coming back to Ohio is 83 Gallery. And, yeah.
Awesome. That's everything, Flint. All
That's
right,
everything.
awesome. All right, I have a question for you, Flint, about the
Yeah.
fine arts exhibition. This is it's a blind jury still, right?
Yes, that is correct. We just ask that if artists try to avoid having signatures clearly visible on the front, and the jurors will not see any identifying information about the individual artists. We get a wide variety of artwork. We just want to make sure that it is fair for everybody in the exhibition.
Great. Yeah. So the it is a blind jury, so the works are not. Yeah, the judges or the panelists don't see any your name or your anything like that goes with the work. So it does kind of make it equitable. You mentioned that you might have mentioned that you can enter an unlimited number of entries. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, there is an unlimited number of entries. There can be a limit depending on year. We've had jurors in the past who have wanted to see works as a group together, but typically we try and limit how many pieces would be accepted. It's in past years has been between 3 and 5 depending on year, but we do try to limit. So if you entered 30 pieces, 30 would not get into the show.
Right.
The chances would go up.
Yeah. We want to make space for everybody else, right?
Yes, we want to make sure it's a very diverse group.
Yeah. Great. From my personal experience, I do want to let want to let the audience and the artists know that the Cox Fine Arts Center is not air conditioned. So that's why it is, we have in the guidelines that no perishable works are allowed. I do have a second question for Flint and Flora. Feel free to jump in. When we see the high caliber of work in the Creative Arts exhibition, what is to say that work is also not eligible to be entered in the Fine Arts exhibition?
The judges for the creative arts divisions and classes, they tend to look more towards the craftsmanship and the intricate details. So that's the merits that they look for with the entries.
And our fine arts exhibition jurors, they're typically going to be looking for the ultimate kind of end product, either the emotion of the work, more so than say the level of skill, like the concepts of the piece itself.
Yeah, and like the final presentation.
Yeah, final
Right.
presentation.
Awesome. Well, to close out today's presentation, I'm going to pass it back to Alyssa to talk about the dates you need to know and how to enter. So take it away, Alyssa.
Thanks, Chaz, and thanks, Flint and Laura, for a wonderful overview of our arts programs here at the Ohio State Fair. So here you can see a handful of important dates. I'm not going to read through them all. You can view the entire list on our website that gives all of the dates, and it's broken down per fine arts, youth arts, and creative arts, just like it is here, but more detail. But a couple of things to note. June 2nd is our entry deadline for fine arts, and June 21st is our deadline for youth arts and creative arts. And there's a couple different drop-off dates depending on which divisions, classes, areas you're in. So again, you'll want to reference that information on our website. But important to note again, July 26th through August 6th is the fair dates when these would be on display in our exhibitions. And then our artist pickup is the day after the fair. So any questions on that, hop on over to our website, and there is plenty of information regarding our dates. So the next thing that we just want to go over with everyone is last year we got a new website. So just kind of want to do a little walkthrough to show you how you can enter our arts exhibition. So if you go up into the right-hand corner, there is a tab that says Get Involved. And you can pull that tab down, and there's different pages for fine arts, youth arts, creative arts. You can click on them, and then you will pull up the page. You know, this is the creative arts page, which is a little updated from this screenshot. We do have all of our 2023 program books online now, but there will be a link right on here on the top of the page when our entries go live. And April 20th is our go live date. So I know we've already gotten some questions from folks. Well, how do we enter? This will be the process you'll use. The link will be posted on here on our website on April 20th. And you can see on the right-hand side there's a link that says Need Online Entry Assistance. So there's some tutorials and information that can also help you in terms of entering. So we wanted to put together some frequently asked questions that we get in terms of our arts department. So some of those are, how much does it cost? Is there a limit on submissions? Is there a theme? People wanting to know about the drop-off and pickup process, if you can submit work from a previous year, and if you have to be an Ohio resident. So I know some of these things were already covered throughout the presentation, but Flint, if you would like to go ahead and address those questions, and then Laura will have you address them also.
Let's make sure you can hear me. There we go. All right. So for the fine arts, I'll cover that one first. How much does it cost? Our entry fee is going to be for the amateur division, $5 per entry, and then $10 per entry for the professional division. And there is a processing fee of $10 for that. There is, like we said, no limits to how many you can enter. So you would only have to pay one processing fee. Is there a theme? Personally, I dislike the word theme because it implies everything must kind of relate to it altogether. We do take all works, but there is going to be that perspective every year where we do have some special awards that are specific to that either media or type of art making. And the drop-off and pickup process. What does that look like for the fine arts? We're going to have 3 days for you guys to come on in and bring your work once it has been accepted through the digital process. If it has been entered online and it's been juried into the exhibition, you would need to prepare things, print off the entry tag that we provide to you, and attach that to the back of your work so that it can be recorded and make sure that it gets where it needs to go. And you'd bring it, drop it off to us. We'll sign you in, get all that taken care of in terms of our paperwork, and we'll also have an entry tag available for picking things up at the end of the fair. We do have some days post-fair that you could pick things up and drive up to the front of the building. There's also one day for picking things up that happens the very last day of the fair as well, and you just can't drive up to the front door during that. Can I submit work from a previous year? Ideally, if it was in the exhibition, that would definitely be a no.
Mhm.
And do I have to be an Ohio resident? Yes, we do need to have an Ohio residency on file with us.
And the Flint,
yeah.
I forgot my question. Works can be shipped too, right?
They can be shipped, yes. In our program book, we do have some shipping dates that will update for the program book every year, so you know when you need to get those taken care of by. As long as it's postmarked by a certain date, we can ensure that it has its designated space in the exhibition.
Great.
And for youth arts, the majority of that will be similar information. Definitely check program books. Most of this will be answered in there. The cost is different. The processing fee is $5, and there is a $1 entry fee for the youth arts. So that is a very low amount of money. That's definitely affordable. Love to get a lot of like wonderful artworks at that cost to them. The theme, not necessarily a theme for the youth arts exhibition. Again, there is no limit to number of submissions. The drop-off and pickup process will look very much the same, except it will not be happening at Cox Fine Arts Center. It will be happening at Kasich Hall. And we will send out information to artists for both fine arts and youth arts when you are accepted to let you know what is going to happen next and where to go and where to drive. Again, try not to submit any work from a previous year. You do have to be enrolled in an Ohio school to be participating in that one. And shall I go on to the questions at the bottom of my screen here?
Yeah, Laura, if you want to go ahead and address those top questions in terms of creative arts, that'd be great.
So there is a cost for entry, that's $10, and then there's an additional $1 per extra entry. The limit on submissions depends on the actual division and class, so it would be good to make sure to review all over the guidelines that are listed on the program book. We do have a theme for the year. It's Space Galaxy Adventure, and we do have a themed category for that theme this year. As for the drop-off and pickup process, when you receive your notification, you will also be receiving a ticket that will allow you to proceed on certain dates to both drop off as well as pick up your work. In regards to submitting work, it must be created within the last 365 days, and you must be an Ohio resident to be able to enter the fair. Thanks.
Thank you both. So a couple of specific fine arts questions, Flint, obviously for you. Am I a professional or amateur? Can I be both? And what media is accepted? If you could address those, please.
Yeah, of course. So am I a professional or amateur? It's a very, very common question we get every year. In general, we would consider the amateurs to be someone who is like a hobbyist or someone who is perhaps like untrained in that media that you're working with. If you are considering yourself a professional, you might be doing this as your day job. You might be a professional selling artist every day. You might be just someone who is oftentimes like getting juried into exhibitions. In our program book, we do have a criteria stated for the professional and amateur division category that says if you've been juried into a professional exhibition at least 3 times, consider yourself a professional for our purposes, and kind of move from perhaps if you've been juried in 3 times as an amateur with us, move on over to the professionals. The media that would be accepted for our exhibition, we do accept just about everything within reason. As Chas mentioned earlier, no perishables. It is an unair conditioned building. We would rather all the perishables be outside the building. That would be fantastic. But just about everything else is good. last year was our year to do all the technology and art, and we had such a wide variety of things coming in there. I think it really opened some doors with what's kind of accepted and kind of able to be seen by the public. So we do accept all media, but again, it is juried by our professional artists that will be kind of selecting the works. So it is up to their decisions.
Perfect. Thanks, Flint. So as a reminder, all of these things are included in our program book. So a lot of the answers to these questions, I know the recording will go out from this, but you can always reference our program books on our website too. So a few more questions there. Flint, for youth arts, can my art teacher submit my work for me? And do I really have to frame my artwork?
So first question about the art teachers. Art teachers, I would recommend that, if you're an art teacher watching this or participating with getting your students ready to get work into the show, I would say first and foremost, like help your students kind of get through the process of like framing and matting and getting things ready to go in that respect. For submitting the work itself, there are ways that you could kind of pay for it. It just needs to be submitted like from the sorry, just lost my train of thought. It needs to be submitted with the information of the student, but as the art teacher, you would need to have the permission and consent of the parents. They are youth that do need to have that parental consent to get any of that stuff taken care of. For other exhibitions, speaking as an art teacher myself, I know some art teachers will kind of collect funds or might even have a budget of funds that could then pay for some things for your students to participate. So that is a possibility as well. And do I really have to frame my artwork? Yeah, you do. Presentation does count. Now, not everything has to be framed if it is sculptural or if it is some kind of three-dimensional work that gets included. That does not have to have a frame on it, of course. But if it is a painting, that might not necessarily have to have a frame as long as presentation is taken into account. If it's a drawing or watercolor, we would recommend that you have that like behind either glass if it's watercolor or just in some kind of supported structure. Wire hangers work best for that. Sawtooth hangers can sometimes pull out of the frame, and we just want to make sure that the young artist's artwork is in the same condition that they gave it to us in. We want it to be high quality, and we want it to be taken care of. And there's that one last question. Is the show juried for the youth arts? Yes, it is. We do have 3 jurors as well for that. They do kind of scan across all 3 categories, and they'll put in their results for all 3, and we'll have the selection made as they kind of come together.
Right. Anything else, Alyssa?
I think that covers a lot of our frequently asked questions,
Awesome.
unless Flint or Laura have thought of anything else in the meantime.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have some in the chat here as we wrap up. I just want to thank Alyssa and thank Flint, thank Laura. We unpacked a lot in a short amount of time. Finally, I want to let the audience know how to get in touch with our partners at the Ohio State Fair. Their emails are listed here on the screen with the special events phone number listed at the bottom. It's 614-644-4040. I do want to remind the audience, should you have any questions regarding your entries to any of these exhibitions, please contact Alyssa, Flint, or Laura. We ask that you do not reach out to the Ohio Arts Council. However, we will be happy to forward on any of your questions to the appropriate person. Within these exhibitions, so much is happening during the 12 days of the fair, and it may be difficult to encapsulate all of it in a 60-minute webinar. So please let us know if there wasn't something that wasn't addressed in the Q&A function on the screen, and we'll get back to your questions. So that includes our webinar for today. I know Katie and Kathy have been working behind the scenes to answer questions in the chat or in the Q&A, but hopefully they've saved a few for our live Q&A session portion of the presentation. Katie, do we have any questions from the audience?
Yeah, so we are coming up on our time here. We do have a few questions. I think we can get to most or if not all of them here in the last few minutes. So First up, we have, I know you talked, Flint, a lot about the possibility to sell your artwork and at the exhibition. Somebody is asking, is it required that the artwork be for sale, or can you mark it as not for sale?
You can mark the work as not for sale. It does not have to be a sale exhibition. It is a wonderful opportunity to sell your work, but if you just can't bear to let it go, that is perfectly understandable. I have some of those myself. You do not have to mark it for sale.
Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you. The next question was about the plein air competition that you talked about. There, somebody was asking, is ink or watercolor included as a potential medium, or is it just oil or acrylic paint?
It does also include ink or watercolor. Our juror is actually a watercolorist this year.
Yeah, we even had somebody do a lot of drawing and dry media as well.
We have had some in the past. Oftentimes, like people kind of lean towards like the pastels. Like pastel painting is a phrase that kind of gets thrown around. We've had that as well.
Okay.
Fantastic. So are there any limits to the medium on the plein air competition, or?
I think in general, probably not photography, because that's a whole nother thing. But just about everything else is dry media or wet media is fine.
Fantastic, thank you. And finally, our last question here. I know you talked, Flint, I think about some restrictions on size of artwork, and I think you said the max was 8 feet by 8 feet. Somebody was asking about the max size for a tapestry. Does that still fall within those parameters there?
If it's being submitted to the Fine Arts, yes, because it is based on our wall sizes that we have available to us.
All right, I think that is all of our questions. I'll give it one more second for last call, but we are coming right up on our time. So I just wanted to thank our presenters. Chaz, thanks for facilitating. Great questions. It was awesome to have you to lead us through this, and especially thanks to Flint and Alyssa and Laura. This was a lot of really wonderful information. As Chaz and Flint and Alyssa and Laura have alluded to, there will be a follow-up email that goes out to everybody with this information, the links to the website and things like that, that will be valuable. Those important dates that you saw earlier in the PowerPoint presentation, we'll share all of that with you afterwards. One more question, we'll pop this in real quick. Somebody was asking about a theme for fine arts. I know you touched on that a little bit. Flint, would you mind popping in and recapping?
Yeah, I'll recap that one. I wouldn't necessarily call it a theme where everything must fall within the confines of this, but we do have a perspective on printmaking this year. So we do have some special awards specifically for printmaking, and there's details on that in our program book available on the website that will cover a little more specifics of what we're looking for. But that'll switch out every single year just to kind of keep the different artworks and medias rotating through, since Ohio is such a very diverse group of artists and artworks.
Thank you. Thanks for the follow-up on that.
I'll make sure I state it clearly, like we do take all kinds of artwork.
Yeah.
You should be up.
Thank you. That's great. I appreciate the clarification there. I think that is it for me. Chaz, is there anything else you wanted to add before we go?
No, thank you for joining us today. This was a lot of fun.
All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a great rest of your evening, and we will see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you.